The next speaker is also from CITEA. It's Daniel Heredero, and he will talk about power converters for energy storage systems.
Okay, thank you very much for your introduction. So this presentation will be focused on energy storage combined with power converters in order to integrate these energy storage systems with the grid, but also thinking that we want to operate connected to a microgrid. So the system has to self-generate its references. So basically, here there is the scope of my presentation. I'm going to start with a brief introduction about microgrids, also considering some control strategies. Then we will move on some general concepts that will derive to a proposal of a converter design to integrate these energy storage systems to the grid. And finally, we are going to conclude showing some results, simulation and experimental results, and some conclusions. So, starting with the introduction, it is well known that renewable energies have been increasingly incorporated in the energy mix in last years, and this is thanks to the distributed energy resource. Basically, these resources are characterized because they allow to handle few megawatts. Usually, it's quite common that they are modular, so this means that we can combine them in series or in parallel to get more power. And also, this kind of resources allows to have high flexibility because we can combine different technologies. All these points are behind the idea of a microgrid. Basically, the current distribution grid usually is related with high generation, where the consumptions are quite far away from the generation and the implications that in the distribution losses that this implies. And we need to go to a more local and smarter idea, and the microgrid usually handles not few megawatts, but few hundred of kilowatts. All of this is due to the current scenario changing, mainly because there is an increasing energy demand, also because there are more clean energy social requirements, and the current economical framework is changing also. So what kind of microgrids we can find? Basically, we can define two types of microgrids, DC microgrids and AC microgrids. And obviously, if we combine one of them, we have the hybrid microgrids. The DC microgrids allows, or it's quite common to have the DC microgrid where we cluster these distributed energy resources. But it's important because there is the microgrid where we can introduce the storage systems. And it's really important also to highlight or to remark the idea of introduce the electrical vehicle in this scenario, because will be an important actor in the future next years. On the other hand, we have the AC microgrids, where basically we have to supply energy to AC loads, domestic or industrial loads. But also we can give to the system some special features, as can be reactive compensation, grid balancing, harmonic compensation, and between others. But it's also important to consider that on the AC side we can take into consideration two operation modes. This means that we can have the system connected to the grid, that this will define one of the operation modes, and then we can operate also the system in islanded mode, depending on the casuistic of the system. So basically, a microgrid, we can say that it's a complex system that will include different subsystems and control strategies or algorithms. We are going to need communication in order to have integrated all these systems, but there appears other issues, as can be the protections that has to be defined for that kind of systems. Okay. So, giving only some control strategies consideration, it's important to say again that if we are thinking on the integration of these energy storage systems, thanks to power converter, we can operate the system considering on the AC side two operation modes, the grid connected operation modes where we need to follow active and reactive references, and the islanding operation mode where we need to follow, in this case, or to guarantee or ensure the stability and robustness of the voltage and frequency that we are generating to our loads. But there is not only it's really important also to consider how we can do the transitions between modes. This implies that what about transitions limits? it's important to consider, for example, here we have the ITA group that is a regulation that tries to define how can be the maximum and minimum voltages that can support, in this case, an informatic load. But we can extrapolate these results up to any load and use it to use this as thresholds for the AC side. On the other hand, which kind of inverters we are going to find in a microgrid. So basically, from a perspective of control, we can say that appears three strategies. The grid supply inverters, that basically are inverters that injects or delivers the maximum power that they take from their source, as can be, for example, photovoltaic inverters using its MPPT algorithms. And it's really important also to highlight that there is always a need a voltage reference to operate that kind of inverters. Then other possibilities to have the grid constitution inverters that basically are a voltage source converter that controls the voltage at its output, but when they are connected to the grid, they act as a mirror, so basically there is no exchange of energy between the grid and the storage system. But in island mode, they are the voltage reference for other converters, as can be the grid suppliers. Finally, we have a third group, that is the one that we have called the grid support and constitution, that always works as a voltage source converter. This means that between the two operation modes that we have, we don't need to change the behavior of the converter. And basically, this is based on the AC group control strategy that we have seen in previous presentations. So how can we define, in the end, a microgrid? We can say that a microgrid is a cluster of interconnected elements that includes generation loads and storage units that has to operate with each other to be collectively treated by the utility grid as a single unity. Okay, focusing more on energy storage systems, that elements are the ones that allows to the system to give robustness, and basically, for example, they allow to have a local energy management if the grid is off, also to operate as a grid in island mode, supply critical loads, but when the system is connected to the grid, it can give also some special features, can be power quality, voltage and frequency support, grid balancing, active filtering, or in case that the grid has an important problem and the system has to restart from a 0 point, it also allows to have a black start capability. So basically, in which ways we can connect the storage systems to an AC system? We can do it essentially using one or two steps, depending obviously on the voltage range that we have of the storage system. For example, if we use a two-stage converter, in this case, usually we can do that to make the system more flexible to the input voltage range, but also this DC converter stage can allow us to give high frequency isolation if we use, for example, some topology as can be the dual active bridge converter. Also on the AC side, we can have different types of converter. Obviously, we can have single and three-phase converters, but it's important also to say that in the case of three-phase converter, we can consider three-phase three-wire converters or three-phase four-wire converters, depending on the type of loads that we want to supply energy. So from that general concepts, we have proposed a converter design with the following input requirements. Basically, we want to design a bidirectional three-phase AC-DC converter that allows to operate with different storage systems, mainly batteries, but for different technologies. With a rated power, we have decided to design a converter with a rated power of near 90 kVA, but with an overload capability of 50%. This means that we have to size the converter to that power, and we do that because it's quite common to understand that this converter has to operate as a machine, and this implies that the overload on the machines can be done, but if you do that with a power converter, it's necessary to size the converter to that power. In this case, we have considered a storage DC voltage range interconnection input that goes from 150 volts up to 500 volts with a maximum DC current of 364 amps. The connection has been done to an experimental real microgrid that it's located in Navarra that with an AC site of a three-phase four-wire microgrid. We have to operate the system with the two modes that I have mentioned, so grid-connected mode and islanded mode. And one special issue is that we have to handle short circuits when we are operating in the island mode. But it's important that we do that regulating the current under sinusoidal waveforms in terms of be as close as possible to a short circuit of the grid, obviously in a scaled way. And obviously it's necessary to consider communications with the microgrid energy manager. To do that, here we have a scheme of the proposal. Basically, we have on the left the battery connection terminals that we connect through a DC-DC converter in order to boost the voltage up to, in this case, 700 volts. For the inverter, this inverter, as I have said before, is a three-phase four-wire inverter, and we add, in this case, galvanic isolation using low-frequency transformers. Then we will talk a little bit more about that point. Well, this is the schematic of the system that we are proposing, and here you can see a picture of the real system. Basically, it's constituted by four parts. There is an electrical cabinet that allows to allocate the switchgear equipment, the DC and AC filters, and the power electronics, and the transformer are behind that electrical cabinet, so you cannot see it in the photograph. We have decided to use identical power modules in order to have more flexibility if something happens to replace it. And this will have some consequences that some slides later I will explain. To manage this kind of system, we have needed two control boards that are based on DSPs. And this converter also includes an embedded PC that allows us to incorporate a human-machine interface to a local user to make that a local user can manage the system, and also is the communication gateway between the energy manager and the control boards. So, as I have said before, that converter has to operate between, well, in two different control modes. Mode 1, that is the one that we're going to call the grid connected, allows to deliver bidirectional active and reactive power up to 45 kVA with an independent set point per phase. This means that we are able to operate in a 4-quadrant PQ system per phase. In mode 2, when we are operating in the island mode, the system mainly has to emulate a bidirectional 90 kVA three-phase system, supporting unbalanced loads and nonlinear loads. If we look a little bit more inside the converter, for the DC-DC converter specification, we have decided to propose a buck-boost interleaved converter, in this case using 3 legs. So this means that we can split the power between these 3 legs, shifting the current signals 120 degrees between each ones. And splitting the power, we can reduce the stress on the IGBTs and also give some redundancy on the system, because if we lose one of the legs, the system can continue operating in a degraded mode, obviously injecting or consuming more ripple to the energy storage system, but at least without stopping the operation of the system. For the DC-AC converter specification, as I have said before, the idea is to try to operate with a 4-quadrant PQ system per phase. This means that we are proposing to use a 6-leg converter where 3 legs are used for each active phase and 3 more legs are used only for the neutral wire. Why this is needed? Because there can be the casuistic that depending on the active and reactive reference that the system receives, the currents can be in phase, and this means that all the current will return to the neutral. And if we want to control the neutral and have this 4-quadrant per phase system, we need to triplicate that converter if we are using the same modules. Obviously, if we are using different modules, you can reduce to triplicate the number of semiconductors. This DC-AC converter is connected to the microgrid or the grid, depending on the state of the main switch that allows to interconnect the systems, between an LCL filter. Basically, it's important to remark also that the capacitors are in terms of control, not in terms of filtering. And we add this low-frequency galvanic isolation in terms to make more compatible with any kind of neutral grounding system that we can have on the AC side. And we have decided to use 3 single-phase galvanic low-frequency transformers because if we have a system that can control the direct, inverse, and homopolar components, and we need galvanic isolation, we need that this galvanic isolation also gives to the system a homopolar magnetic way to operate. So in this case, one of the ways to do that is using 3 independent single-phase transformers. Taking a general image of the control, because this is only to have a perspective of how we have implemented the control on that system. Here we have a square where we have mode 1 and mode 2. These squares basically are managed thanks to this AC drupe control strategy. From that point we get the voltage reference for the AC capacitors that we compare it with that voltage. And we have used it in this case a proportional resonant control with harmonic compensation in order to make a filter harmonic compensation on the grid side. And we have used also a feed-forward structure in order to make as independent as possible the system from any kind of loads. As I have said before, we want to work with non-linear and unbalanced loads. So this means that the system, if we use a feed-forward structure, we can get more independent from that point. Here we add the feed-forward to the output of the resonant controllers. We get the current reference for the output inductances of the inverter. This means that we can control and saturate the current that we are delivering or consuming from the AC side to the energy storage system or vice versa. And we then use again another structure of proportional resonant controller. We have now the voltage that we want to synthesize, and using a modulation strategy, we get the shoot signals for the converter. So, starting with the results, we are going to present basically six scenarios. 2 of them are related with the grid-connected mode, 2 of them regarding the transitions between the grid-connected mode and the islanded mode, and 2 more focused on how we want to handle the short circuits in the island operation mode. In this case, the first scenario is an unbalanced active power regulation. Unbalanced active power regulation, where the reference for the system is in phase U 30 kilowatts, for phase B minus 30 kilowatts, and in phase W 30 kilowatts more. And you can see here that there are simulation and experimental results. The first row are the currents of the active phases, and the low row is the current of the neutral wire. You can see here that the system is able to manage the currents independently, and it's possible also to observe that are not shifted 120 degrees if the reference will be symmetrical. We can also show one more extreme scenario where, depending on the reference, we can make that the system has the 3 active currents in phase. In this case, we have proposed to reference the system for phase U 50 kilowatts, for phase B minus 7.5 kilowatts and minus 13 kilowatts, and in phase W 7.5 kilowatts and 13 kilowatts. Making feasible these references, is possible to observe that all the 3 active currents are almost in phase, and this means that all the current will return for the neutral, and this is one of the main reasons why we need to triplicate, in this case using the same modules, the converter that implies the control of the neutral wire. Okay, so if we move on to the transitions, in this case I have said before, I am only want to show the transitions that comes from grid connected mode to the island mode. Why not the other ones? Because when you are going from an island mode, you have a more controllable situation, because the system can be synchronized with the grid and then make the reconnection. So if there is one of transition that has to be treated with a little bit, with more considerations, are the transition that implies being connected at the start, at a start point to the grid, and start to operate then isolated from the grid. So in this case, the first resort, the results are related with a reference where the system is consuming from the grid 45 kilowatts. This implies that we are injecting that power to the energy storage system. There is no loads, and suddenly we decide to open the main switch because something happens. And in these simulations, you can see here that more or less at time 50 milliseconds, the system starts to change. Here, in order to make the simulation as close as possible to the real system, we have proposed to change the operation mode at time we send the signal to open the main switch, but the main switch doesn't really open up to 170 milliseconds, so 120 milliseconds after, in order to try to simulate the behavior that your main switch breaker can open mechanically, but the current can still flowing during some times. So here you can see that the system is able, after not more than 5 to 6 grid cycles, to recover the stability of the voltage. But the most important point is that there is no stop of the system. So there is no zero voltage crossing for the AC side, and this implies that if there is some load connected, it can be, or a critical load can be connected on the AC side, we can supply power to them without any interruption. Again, simulations are supported with experimental results, and the images quite good. Another result about transition is that in this case we have a load. In this second result about transitions, the system is consuming from the grid 15 kilowatts, and there is a load. So this means that the grid in this point is injecting the power that is consuming the inverter, but also the power that needs the load. At the same time, 50 milliseconds, is sent a signal to change the operation mode, and 120 milliseconds after, the main switch will be really opened. And you can see here that thanks that we have a load and we have a path for the current to be wasted, the voltage is more stable than in the previous case, but the most important is that we have a load connected and the voltage is near the nominal value, so it cannot continue operating without, again, any zero voltage crossing. Here on the current graph, you can see that we go from consuming with a determinate phase to an inversion of phase when we start to deliver the power from the storage system to the local load. Finally, two more results regarding the isolation mode. The first one is, well, here we have tested several short circuits. The presentation, in this presentation, I only want to show one of them. In this case, it's a short circuit between the active phase U and the neutral wire. And the important point is that we are able, or the system is able, to manage the short circuit current up to the nominal rated current. After, obviously, here we have, if you see the blue line, here you can see that there is an overcurrent that is related with the non-controllable time. This means, I want to, okay, the system has implicitly a switching frequency of a switching period. So between the fault occurs and the first time that the control knows that has to react, the current is not controlled. And this is the reason why we have here a peak of 2 times the maximum current that will be supported by the short circuit algorithm. But after no more than 2 grid cycles, the system is able to deliver a sinusoidal waveform current supporting the short circuit. Here we have also the experimental and the simulation that also supports each other. Finally, it's also important not only support the fault, but also when the fault is recovered, and considering that we can have some load connected to the AC side, it's important that this load doesn't see any overvoltage in order to maintain the integrity of that load. And in this case, the systems show that it's able also to progressively adapt the voltage that goes from 0 to the nominal value without any overvoltage. This implies that this system in island operation mode is able to support short circuits and also the recovery fault without any problem. So finally, as a conclusion, I only want to say that power converters enable the connection of a storage system to the grid, but that the storage systems in combination with power converters also allows to give some special features to the grid, as can be the ones that I have mentioned. For instance, grid balancing, harmonic compensation, or in analog mode, this short circuit capability. So this is the end of my presentation. If you have any question.
Thank you, Daniel. So, is there a quick question? We have time for one question. No question. So, oh, here, we have one.
Do you also look in primary control, frequency control?
Yeah. In fact, here there is implemented the Druck control, but there is also included a secondary and a tertiary control. But in order to explain only a little bit the essence of the control, I only have explained the primary control. But we manage the amplitude and the frequency of the system using the AC Druck controller strategy.
Okay, thank you very much.